Let's get back now to testimony from an eyewitness, Isabella Molner, describing the fight she saw happen at another house party prior to the deadly stabbing.
Did the party get too big?
Yeah.
And do you have any knowledge as to whether or not people were asked to leave?
Yes, people were asked to leave.
Do you know in particular who was asked to leave?
I think she just wanted everyone out.
Okay. And at some point in time, do you recall whether or not two individuals that were not associated with St. Joe's High School showed up?
I remember I heard about it, and yeah, I recall people showed up at the party.
And when they showed up to the party, was there any type of altercation that you witnessed at the party?
Yes.
And what did you witness at the party?
There was a fight that broke out outside.
And do you know who was involved in that fight?
I know that Jack, Tyler, and Lito were involved in it, and kids outside of St. Joe's. I don't know who those kids are, but...
And what do you remember seeing about that fight?
It was outside, and they were just fighting.
And when you saw that fight, did you do anything just prior to witnessing that fight?
I started videoing the fight.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes.
I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibit 58 for identification. Do you recognize 58?
Yes.
And what is State's 58?
The video that I took.
And is this video that you took from the night of May 14th of 2022 at Lazy Brook?
Yes.
And have you viewed this video prior to today's testimony?
Yes.
And does this USB drive contain the original video that you took from that fight?
Yes.
And does it also contain a video that has been lightened up of the same video?
Yes.
Has that been changed in any way other than it being lightened up?
No.
And does it also contain a slow motion version of the same video that's also lightened up?
Yes.
And aside from it being slow motion and lightened up, is it changed in any way from the original video?
No.
Your Honor, the state would offer this as a full exhibit.
Attorney Smith?
No objection, Your Honor.
All right, court will go ahead and accept the exhibit into evidence as a full exhibit.
Wish to publish to the jury, Your Honor.
Certainly, thank you.
We're going to watch the three videos together. Okay? Now that first video, was that the original video you took of the fight that occurred at Lazy Brook Road?
Yes.
Was that the lightened up version of the same video?
Yes.
Go to frame 90. And you see the slow-mo version. The slow-motion version has frames on the bottom. Okay? We're at frame 90 on State's Exhibit 58, the slow-motion version. I'm going to ask you, can I have that pointer? Can you tell me, do you know who this individual is right here to the left?
Tyler?
Tyler De Silva?
Yes.
Do you know who this individual is here in the center with the dark pants and the helmet?
Are you able to see the pointing?
Can't see the pointing, Your Honor, but I can see the video, and I'm fairly clear who it is he's pointing.
Yes,
Who
that's
is that?
Lito.
That's Lito, the defendant?
Yes.
And who is this in the red sweatshirt here?
That's Jack.
And the kid in the green sweatshirt, do you know who that is?
No, I don't know who that is.
All right, still with us, criminal defense attorney Jeffrey Wolf. And Jeffrey, you kind of touched on it here a few minutes ago, talking about why have the knife. Now, of course, we know kids get in fights, teens get in fights. They've been doing it for decades. But introducing weapons kind of kicks things up a notch. And, you know, we heard earlier today that at that first altercation, Valley was fighting and he had a motorcycle helmet, swinging it, trying to hit the people he was fighting with. And now ultimately we know at the second fight, he had the knife that killed James McGrath. How do you think the jury is digesting that information, this testimony, and do you think that hurts his defense, that he was using weapons?
Yeah, I mean, a weapon is always a game changer, Cody. It's the kind of thing that takes it from a schoolyard fight that's happening at a high school party and ratchets it up a level into a level of danger that can make it, a criminal offense. And it is the kind of thing that makes a juvenile get charged as an adult, right? That takes you out of juvenile court and into adult court and has you facing decades in prison instead of rehabilitative measures that you would face in juvenile court, because that's what we're used to seeing with kids. We're not used to seeing them on court TV. And so the weapon is the game changer for him. And the bottom line is, at the end of the day, we see him swarmed and surrounded by other kids. And so maybe he had a reason to believe that he was in danger before he got there. We have not heard from the defense yet at this point. And so if he had a reason to believe he was in danger, arming himself prior might make a little bit more sense when we get there. But at this point, the jury is probably having some thoughts in their head of, why did he even have a knife? That's my thought as a parent. Why would you take a knife to a high school party? You're looking for trouble. That's the initial instinct. It's got to be.
And Jeffrey, as a criminal defense attorney here, we also heard that witness testimony say that Valley went back to the car and got the knife before everything went down. Where does self-defense come in there? How does a defense attorney begin to even defend against that testimony? I mean, you kind of touched on it here just a second ago, saying maybe with the numbers, with the amount of people that were involved in the fight, ganging up on them. Where do you begin to defend that?
Well, you have to look at what was said to him prior. You have to look at any threats that were made. You have to say that this other group of kids were making threats and that he didn't know what weapons they may have had, that he didn't know what they were going to do as a group against him, that he didn't know if he was going to have anybody else to help him against a large group. And so he felt that he had to do something to try and thwart this attack, that maybe he thought the knife would cause them to leave him alone, that he didn't realize it would continue to escalate and he would end up having to use the knife, something along those lines, that he went to get the knife because of something that happened prior to going to do it. You have to have a reason for introducing the knife into the equation.
All right, appreciate your insight as always, Jeffrey. You are sticking around for the rest of this hour. Folks, coming up, more testimony from Connecticut and the Preppy Party Murder Trial for defendant Raul Valley. Plus, a juror from the Karen Reed murder retrial speaks out today about what she really thinks happened to John O'Keefe that night at 34 Fairview. Hear what she has to say after finding Reed not guilty in John O'Keefe's murder. That's all after the break.
As an emergency room physician, I worked in level 1 trauma centers for years. I know what happens back there. One ambulance after another, with injured patients and lives that are changed forever. I understand. I took care of those people. Thank you. Now, as an attorney, my team and I care for the same people, but in a different way, working to get our clients' lives back to normal. If you've been injured, our medical and legal expertise provides a unique advantage. Ramos Law. What makes us different makes us better.
You got batteries for my side-by-side?
Yes.
Replace my flashlight?
Sure thing. What about my business?
Oh, good one.
100%. Batteries for my fleet of trucks?
Got floor scrubbers?
Yes, and fire panels. We have pallets of batteries.
Well, what about...
As your go-to guy, if it needs a battery, we have it.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Could have led with that. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Welcome to the BioFreeze Performance Center. We're putting our new UltraFlex lidocaine pain relief patch to the test.
I'm on my flex, yeah.
Designed to stay in place and rigorously tested to move, bend, and flex. It has superior adhesion and 4-way flexibility to move with your body for up to 8 hours.
I'm on my flex.
UltraFlex is built to flex, just like you. BioFreeze UltraFlex, built to flex.
His identity, a mystery.
Who is he?
His sword, lightning fast.
I challenge you!
His name,
Zorro! Zorro!
Zorro. Tuesdays starting 5/4 Central on Grid Extra.
I wanted to be a reporter since I was 4 years old. I always knew that I wanted to tell stories. I feel really proud that I work at Scripps News. Our reporters get to delve into the topics that we care about and that we want to dig deeper into. There's a real investment in going where the stories are, giving people the full picture, reporting what is happening firsthand. Alex Miller, Scripps News, New York.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
Give me something new. I want the real you.
That is the best idea I've ever heard.
Yes, of course we can get you more.
Rex, go!
Angus MacGyver.
You know that was fun.
Just give me more.
I've worked hard all my life. I learned the secret to success is speaking in your authentic voice. And I bring that lesson to my show every morning.
Opening Statement with Julie Grant. Weekday mornings at 8, 7 Central. Only on Court TV.
How prepared is your family if disaster shows up at your doorstep? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan before they show up. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes! Make a plan today.
Mondays.
First you moved in, you banned cigar smoke and kitchen nudity.
Oscar Madison.
Just doing my daily yoga.
Felix Unger.
You're not exactly a guy's guy. Why? Because I use coasters? I'm an accomplished photographer. Perfect, let's start shooting. And I can make a pair of tap shoes talk. What do you say, boys?
Together, they're the odd couple.
Here, hold that. Oscar, is that coffee? I just cleaned the rug. Better not move.
The Odd Couple. Mondays starting 7, 6 Central on Laugh More.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Cody Thomas. We'll get back to the testimony in the Preppy Party Murder Trial in just a moment. But first, members of the jury in the Karen Reed murder retrial are speaking out today. Earlier this week, that jury found Karen Reed not guilty of second-degree murder, manslaughter, and leaving the scene. One of those jurors spoke to NBC's Today Show about their deliberations and what she thinks happened to John O'Keefe that night. Take a listen.
I do believe he died inside the house. Something may happen in front of the house when she dropped him off, because she woke up saying, maybe I hit him, look at my taillight. She made this connection of the taillight being cracked with he not being home. So maybe she did hit something when she dropped him off, and as she drove off like mad, going home upset because he didn't came back from the house, I think John O'Keefe went inside the house and something happening there.
And a programming note tonight, that same juror, juror number 11, will join Vinnie Politan on closing arguments. Hear about her reaction to the not guilty verdict and much more. That's coming up tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern. You will not want to miss it. All right, now back to Connecticut, where court is dark today in the Preppy Party murder trial for defendant Raul Valley. Testimony is set to resume on Monday, so we've been taking this opportunity to show you what you missed while we were covering that big Karen Reed murder retrial. Valley is facing murder and assault charges after a fight between teens from rival high schools escalated into a deadly stabbing. Now, Valley has pleaded not guilty. Let's pick it up where we left off with more testimony from Isabella Molner, someone who shot cell phone video of one of the fights that night. We're picking it up with her cross-examination.
You said that initially there were about 15 to 20 people that were at the party, correct?
Yes.
And those were all St. Joe's kids, is that correct?
I think it was mainly St. Joe's kids. I can't confirm that it was only St. Joe's, but from my understanding it was.
Do you recall seeing anybody else that you didn't recognize other than when the two kids from Shelton High arrived?
I remember Maddie's boyfriend was there at the time. I think it was mainly all St. Joe's kids who else were there, but that's to my understanding.
And you said most of the people there were drinking, right?
As I remember, yes.
And all of those people that were drinking were all underage, is that correct?
I would assume so, yes.
Okay. Because you didn't see any adults there, is that correct?
No.
And this home where you were partying, the party part took place downstairs in the basement?
Mm-hmm.
And again, you didn't see any adults down there, is that correct?
No.
And you told us that some folks were bringing alcohol with them, correct?
Bringing alcohol? I think maybe some people, I'm not sure where people had alcohol or where they got it from, but people were drinking.
Did you see anybody coming down from upstairs in the home with alcohol?
With alcohol? I know people were using the bathroom upstairs, so some people were going upstairs and then coming back down.
Did you see any adults providing alcohol?
I didn't see any adults providing alcohol.
And you didn't see any adults in the basement, is that correct?
At the end of the party, her mom told us to all leave, but that was it.
You didn't know either of these two Shelton High kids who showed up?
No, I'm not sure.
And you started to record this because you thought what was going to happen?
It was kind of just out of impulse, I think. Yeah, I think I just reacted.
And you shared that video with the police when you talked to them on June 1st, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But between May 14th and June 1st, you didn't share that with any police officers, did you?
Not the ones, other than the ones I showed.
On June 1st?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
And so you weren't recording it at that point to preserve it as evidence to show somebody,
No.
right?
No.
And you didn't know if Mr. De Silva was coming over to try and break it up or if he was part of the fight, right?
No, it all just kind of happened really fast, and yeah.
And at some point, they sort of collapsed onto the ground on the other side of a vehicle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you couldn't see what was going on at that point, could you?
I think it looks at one point like Lido or somebody smacks someone with their fist, but I couldn't really see much other than the video.
Okay. And you saw Mr. Valley was wearing a motorcycle helmet, correct?
Yes.
And you saw him in the picture there. He also had on a pillow, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And they were playing some form of beer pong downstairs, is that correct?
Yeah, I think so.
All right, still ahead, more highlights from the Preppy Party Murder Trial. And after the break, hear testimony from an eyewitness who tries to explain why a bunch of high school kids ended up in a deadly brawl.
Did something occur between the St. Joe's, 3 individuals that you just indicated, as well as the Shelton High School students?
Yes.
And what happened?
There was a fight.
Okay. And were you present when that fight took place?
Yes.
And when you say present, how close to the fight were you?
I was very close. I was trying to break it up.
A high school party ending in a fatal stabbing.
It was very hectic. People started yelling, screaming.
But what led to this tragedy in an affluent community?
The Preppy Party Murder Trial. Live coverage today on Court TV.
Tonight on Closing Arguments, it was the verdict heard across the country. We're bringing you reaction to this trial's dramatic finish and looking at what is next for Karen Reed.
Closing Arguments tonight at 8/7 Central, only on Court TV.
As a legal journalist, every time I step into the Supreme Court, I am always in awe. In today's society, the law affects everyone. And that's why it's very important for people to be informed, especially when it comes to the law. I see it as a great responsibility to be able to parse out all of the information that may be wrong and bring the facts.
Avajoy Burnett, Scripps News.
For live reports, breaking news, and headlines from across the country, stream Scripps News.
Two hands can move a mountain. Two more and you can move the earth. I got you now, I'm never gonna let you go. No, no. I'm trying a little harder. 'Cause together we're strong enough. But let everybody know that we're never giving up. Oh, try a little harder.
Ion, it's on. Wherever you watch.
Coming soon to Court TV.
It's the biggest story that we're covering.
These murders have shaken our community.
He is the boogeyman.
So many eyes have been on Donna Adelson from the beginning. It's terrible.
A social media sensation, now a suspected killer.
Why do you have something against me?
She wrote a children's book about her husband's death. Now she's accused of killing him.
The high-stakes trials you don't want to miss. Coming soon, only on Court TV.
I didn't hear anybody knock. Shall we proceed?
My pa's the best shot in the whole world. Isn't it exciting?
They call you the rifleman. Just make it good. You got us banned from being room parents? I have never been more in love with you.
Who wants to go nuts for donuts?
Show him your folding trick.
I'm not in the mood for your sheet right now. You keep me coming back for more.
How prepared is your family if disaster shows up at your doorstep? You can't just turn away a natural disaster. That's why it's important to go to ready.gov/plan before they show up. It has the tools and tips you need to make an emergency plan with your family. So if disaster comes knocking,
let's go.
You'll be ready to help keep your family safe.
It's just a pizza.
Yes!
Make a plan today.
You go get him, Tiger.
Oh, yeah.
Watch live TV for free. Meet Tableau. Access over 90 free channels, including popular shows, news, and live sports. Plus, you can record, pause, and replay. Always 0 monthly fees or contracts. Order a Tableau Total System at TableauTV.com or these popular retailers.
Shop.
Welcome back. We're going back to Connecticut now, where we've been showing you some key testimony from the Preppy Party Murder Trial for defendant Raul Valley. Now, this testimony played out while we were covering that huge murder retrial for Karen Reed. Now, Valley was just 16 years old when prosecutors say he stabbed 17-year-old James McGrath to death and injured 3 others at a party back in 2022. He faces up to 60 years in prison if convicted. Let's pick it up back now with testimony from a new witness, Emily Robinson, who says she saw a fight break out that night and tried to de-escalate the situation.
Did something occur between the St. Joe's 3 individuals that you just indicated, as well as the Shelton High School students?
Yes.
And what happened?
There was a fight.
Okay. And were you present when that fight took place?
Yes.
And when you say present, how close to the fight were you?
I was very close. I was trying to break it up.
Okay. Before we proceed, I am going to show you what's been marked as exhibit number 53. May I approach the clerk, Your Honor?
Yes, thank you.
Emily, you have a screen in front of you here.
Yes.
Looking at state 53, do you recognize the individuals in this photograph?
Yes.
And who are those individuals?
Jack Snyder in the red and Lido in the blue.
And looking at state 53, do you remember Lido, as you just indicated, wearing that helmet as well as the pillow around his neck?
Yes.
Okay. And from your recollection from that night at the party, do you recall if the defendant showed up wearing this helmet and the pillow, or did he retrieve it at the party?
He got it at the party.
Do you recall whose helmet that is that he's wearing?
I do not know exactly.
Okay. And when the fight broke out that you observed, do you recall if the defendant was wearing that helmet during the fight?
He was.
Okay. Now, directing your attention back to the party that night, what was happening at the party? Was there drinking going on? Were there games being played? Explain.
Yes, there was drinking going on, and there was some games being played, like beer pong and other drinking games.
Okay. What type of alcohol was being consumed, if you recall?
Mostly beer and some alcoholic, like seltzers.
Had you been drinking?
Yes.
How many alcoholic beverages had you consumed?
I don't remember.
Were you, had you been drinking to the point where you were drunk, not able to stand, or?
No, no.
Okay. And you indicated you had driven to the party that night?
Yes.
Now, did you observe Lido or Raul drinking that night?
Yes.
And looking at state 53, do you see the blue liquid that the defendant is holding in his hand there?
Yes.
Do you recall what that is? Or do you know what that is? No. Now, the individuals that arrived from Shelton High School, as you indicated, do you know the names of those individuals?
I did not at the time, but I did later learn that it was Griffin and Ryan.
Okay. And when you say later on, did you have interactions with them?
Yes. After the fight, one of my friends drove them away.
And is that when you learned their names?
Yes, yeah, in the car.
Now, when, as you indicated, Ryan and Griffin arrived at 5 Lazy Brook, if you can recall, or if you observed, how did the defendant, Jack, and Tyler Da Silva react?
They did not want them there.
Okay, and how do you know that? What were they doing, without going into what they were saying, how were they observed?
Trying to kick them out.
Okay. Would you say it was a bit of a hostile interaction?
Yeah.
Now, at some point, you indicated a fight broke out. Do you recall what that fight was over?
It was over like a little case of beer.
Okay, and when you say it was over a little case of beer, explain.
Lido and like the others had taken it from them and wanted them to leave. And Ryan wanted the beer back and then he would leave, but so that's why they fought over the alcohol. Okay.
Were you standing there when were you observing this? You were observing the beer being taken and then Ryan wanting that beer back?
Yes.
Okay. And to your knowledge, did the boys from St. Joe's give the beer back to Ryan at that point?
No.
Okay. And because the beer was not given back, what occurred?
That's when the fight broke out.
And when you say a fight broke out, you indicated you observed the fight? To your recollection, explain what you observed when the fight happened.
I saw Lido punch Ryan from behind, and then that's when everyone started fighting.
Emily, you saw yourself walking towards the fight. Is that you?
Yes.
In state 58, what are you doing at that point?
I'm trying to break it up, like push people away.
What did you do to break it up? What did you physically do?
I was trying to like push like people with like my hands.
So you had hands on people?
Yes.
Okay. Were you successful in getting anyone off anyone at all?
No.
And how close were you to the fight when you observed the defendant headbutt Ryan?
A foot or two.
Okay. And did you recall, withdrawn, after he headbutted, what occurred after that?
Then the fight pretty much subsided.
After the fight had ended, is it fair to say that the party kind of dissipated at that point?
Yes.
Okay. And how did the party dissipate?
People were just starting to like be kicked out, basically.
Who kicked them out?
I think the parents, but I'm not completely sure.
As you were leaving withdrawn, did you leave the party at that point?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you leave?
I left in a Jeep that my friend was driving.
Okay. So you had indicated earlier that you had driven to the party.
Yes.
Did you leave your car?
Yes.
Okay. Why did you go in the Jeep with your friends?
We were taking Ryan and Griffin away to wherever they needed to go.
Did you have an opportunity to observe any injuries on Ryan Hines?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you observe on him?
His mouth was bleeding and his nose was bleeding.
And withdrawn. Whose Jeep was it that you got into?
I believe that it was my friend Izzy's.
Okay. And where did Izzy go to after you left the party?
After she was driving us?
Yep.
I think we went back to my house after the night was over.
Did she drop off Ryan?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recall where she dropped them off?
I do not remember.
And was it just you, Ryan, Griffin, and Izzy in the vehicle? Or were there other individuals in the?
There were other people.
May I approach counsel, Your Honor? Yes.
Thank you. Is this 59?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any objection, Attorney Smith?
Your Honor, I'd like to see the foundation laid.
All right.
Emily, I'm showing you what's been marked as State 59 for ID purposes only. Do you recognize this photograph?
Yes.
Okay, and what do you recognize that photograph as?
It was a picture that we took on top of the Jeep.
Okay, do you recall who took this photograph?
It was me.
It was you, and it was a selfie?
Yes.
Okay, and was this photograph taken after the fight had broken up and before you left the party
Yes.
for Izzy to drive?
This was still on Lazy Brook Street.
Okay. Does this picture fairly and accurately depict how you all were situated as you were leaving the party that night?
Yes.
Is there anything different in this photograph that you can point out that was different at the time of?
Not that I can see.
I'd like to give it a vote for the Your Honor.
Attorney Smith?
No objection.
All right. Court will accept into evidence States 59 as well. Thank you.
Emily, I'm showing you State 59, which is now a full exhibit. Emily, do you recognize these individuals in this photograph?
Yes.
Okay. And this individual right here, who's that?
That's me.
Okay. And the individual back here, who's this?
That's Ryan.
Okay. And the individual back here, who's that?
That's Griffin.
Okay. And the person who drove the Jeep, Izzy, where is she in this photograph?
The far left.
Far left. So over here?
Even more, like near the bottom left of the picture.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And how soon after you took this photograph did you leave the party?
I believe right away, but I can't be sure.
Okay. And other than what you testified here to today, is there anything else that you can recall from that party regarding the fight that broke out at 5 Lazy Brook?
No, I cannot.
All righty, still with us, criminal defense attorney Jeffrey Wolf. And Jeffrey, listen, I know this is a horrific, unsettling type of case involving these kids whose lives are essentially changed forever, but do you think that the jury in this case will take their age into consideration? I mean, Valley was just 16 at the time. There was underage drinking involved. Not that that gives a pass for what went down, but do you think age and immaturity will be considered when the jury eventually gets this case?
I sure hope it takes it into account because, you know, I'm a criminal defense attorney, so I apologize if my defense attorney stripes show a little bit here, but I stand for one of the propositions that nobody should be judged on their worst day and multiply that by a factor of 10 for a kid, okay? Because kids make mistakes every day and they grow and they learn and they change day by day and they mature and they learn from the mistakes that they make. Now, this mistake is a mistake he's never going to be able to take back. And so there are going to be consequences for this mistake if he was not defending himself. If he was defending himself like any other citizen in our country, he has a right to do it. But if he wasn't defending himself and this mistake was something where he took someone else's life and he did it with malice and he did it in the wrong way, there should be consequences for it. But should the consequences on somebody who was 16 at the time be the same for somebody who's a grown adult? I sure hope not in this country. I sure hope not. And I sure hope that a jury and a judge take that into account. I sure hope so.
Absolutely, Jeffrey, and only have about 15 more seconds with you here. Quickly, Should he take the stand? I know he has to convince a whole jury that he feared for his life, but that means we have to hear from him. That essentially requires him to take the stand, does it not?
Unless there's a witness to the self-defense, he damn sure better.
Absolutely. All righty. Thank you, Jeffrey Wolf, for joining us this hour. Appreciate your insight, as always, my friend. Now, coming up, we'll go to Dedham, Massachusetts for more on the Karen Reed case. Now that the verdict is in, how should we feel about Michael Proctor?
Yes, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though. No ass.
We'll break down the public perception of the lead investigator on Reed's case with our legal analyst after this short break. Keep it right here on your front row seat to justice.